So hello everyone, how are we doing? Bit of an unboxing video today. Now Max Speed and Rods reached out to me, I have to admit, quite a while ago now, back in the middle of 2023. They had seen our red EF Civic track car on our social medias and they took a keen interest in that car. Unfortunately, bit ill-timed is that the same week that they sent me these coilovers, I had lent the red Civic out to a very good friend of mine who took it to a track day to blow off some steam. The car left here in a driving working order and arrived in a crashed non-driving order. So unfortunately we didn't have a vehicle to fit these two and take them to the track and do a comprehensive test on them to let you know how they performed. This unboxing video is going to serve as a bit of a middle ground until we can get the car built back out on the circuit. So here we go. So we'll start off with the front damper. We've got 24 levels of damping adjustment via this knob. The top mount is a spherical bearing design. Now, spherical bearings are good for track applications because it dramatically improves suspension and steering feedback through the chassis. Obviously, we've got a spring. We've got a lower cup unit. Now, interestingly about the lower cup unit is that if you know your Hondas pretty well, is that you'll know that the suspension interchanges quite a bit through the EF, EG and EK, and I believe Integra as well. And one of the main differences on the front units is that the lower portion of the cup here, which goes into the lower suspension fork, are different sizes depending on your year. Now they have supplied this nice little metal collar which reduces and increases the diameter of this lower portion here, so one coilover fits many models. They've done something similar on the rear unit as well, but nice touch I suppose. They've only got to manufacture one coilover to fit many different models. Now spring rate on the front is we've got an 11 kilo spring on the front. Now that's going to be pretty harsh for a road car. Again, T7 design here is what these are. These are the T7 range, and these are a more track focused setup. They do a T6 range, which is a more street orientated setup. Then onto the rear damping unit. Again, 24 levels of damping adjustment on the rear. We got in rubber top mount on the rear, so spherical on the front, rubber on the rear. Not quite sure why that is. There's probably a reason. Spring, which is a rate of 7. Again, 11 on the front, 7 on the rear. This is definitely a track orientated spring rate. And then we've got the lower cup. Now the lower cup, both lower cups have like a textured black finish to them with their logo etched into the paintwork here. Now one thing I have noticed is that in compared to other brands of coilover is that the entire cup, including, as you see, the little pegs here which will bolt to the lower control arm, is a single machined piece of aluminium. Now the spec sheet does state that the lower cups are aluminium, however they're not, they are steel. Now this is going to come down to the price point and manufacturing ease, is that these pegs here are actually welded to this lower cup here, so I'm guessing they manufacture the lower cup in the thousands and then they just weld on tabs to suit the particular vehicle they're being fitted to. Again, down to a price point. Again, other brands machine this is one piece, this is the way that they do it. Is it bad? Probably not. These are priced considerably less than top brand coilovers in the market, and get what you pay for at the end of the day. One thing I have noticed is, especially under the boot here, is there's a lot of oil. Now, not for 1 second do I think that these dampers have failed in transit. This is more than likely assembly oil from the assembly process, so absolutely nothing to worry about there. One notable thing, again, just an observation, is the lock rings. Now, on most brand coilovers, they tend to use like a square edged tooth. On these, they're using a round edged tooth, which seems to form just as nice. Not quite sure why they've made that change. Maybe it's easier to laser cut and manufacture the spanners. I am not quite sure. Now on the rear, as I said, the front unit uses this collar on the bottom here, and that allows you to fit this to different years of Civic with the different size low suspension forks. On the rear, as you can see, it's a welded cup, so you can't move them tangs. So instead what they've done is they've supplied a couple of thickish washers, like 3mm washers, and that's going to allow you to take up the distance on the lower control arms, because I believe EGs are slightly wider and EFs are slightly thinner. So if you're fitting these to an EF like we will be, for example, you're going to have to put a couple of washers in there to stop this wobbling around on the lower control arm. Now overall, from a visual quality point of view, you can definitely see why these are about 300-400 quid cheaper than the other ranges. Again, the texture finish on the steel cup. Now, with that being steel, it's more than likely, especially on the UK roads where we do salt them quite heavily during the winter times, is that these cups here, I'd imagine, will be starting to rust, or at least the paint's going to start to flake off within the year. And to combat that on the damper body, they do have enhanced corrosion resistance. Again, the crib sheet here tells me that the bodies are galvanized, and then they have a black corrosion plating applied over the top of the galvanizing. How true that is, I don't particularly know. Now, with these bottom cups being steel and not aluminium is a thing I can see in a year's time, especially in the UK where we heavily salt the roads during the winter times. These are probably going to rust pretty quickly. With an aluminium cup on other brands, you're not going to see them rust. You are going to see them corrode slightly, especially with the winter salt, but you're not going to see them rust. I'm a bit concerned about these tangs welded to these lower cups. Obviously, as a welding and fabrication firm, the welds are pretty undercut. Obviously, for a factory sort of type setting, I could more likely be proven wrong, and these are probably last year's. But again, from my observation, I'm not really keen on that. I might actually weld a supporting bracing tab across the back here and tie it into this cup here. Just a bit of peace of mind, but we'll see how we get on. And then for the rears, again on the front, they had this collar here to allow you to fit the bottom of that unit into various different years of Honda and Honda Civic and Integras, etc. And then on the rear, they've done something kind of similar. A bit of a cheat way of doing it is they have basically just supplied some packing washers to put on the inside of these tangs, comparative to the lower control arm bush. If memory serves me correctly, I believe EFs are slightly narrower than EGs. So again, these are probably more focused to fit EGs, and then for the EFs you'll have to use the packing washers. That could be the other way around, but don't quote me on that. So that's it. Quick unboxing video. We're going to be working hard over the next couple of months to get the new Binley Mega Chippy Civic up and running for this year's competition. So watch this space, and hopefully we're going to get a track day in and we're going to compare these to other brands with a few different drivers we've got lined up, and yeah, we'll see how these actually perform on the circuit. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Link down below to where you can purchase these, and we'll see you in the next video. Love you, bye.